I got it in my life, bro, because...
Hello knockouts, Tonya Tko here, and we're getting ready to watch a video that went viral on Instagram of a young man in the throes of a breakup with his girlfriend. So I wanted to give a special thank you to Mott6 for sending this video to me for comment. And if you like these types of videos, make sure that you thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe. And I really want your comments below because this is a really touchy topic. We're going to be talking about suicide. We're going to be talking about breaking up. So if these are triggers for you, then you can come back to the video or just read the comments. But we're going to jump into it right now.
Since I've been with you, I never went out with no girl behind your back. I never chilled with nobody, bro. I never did nothing to you, bro. Yo, for you to be out with another nigga right now cheating on me, bro, that shit fucking hurt. And I can't do this shit. I can't do this shit anymore. I'm so fucking weak. I'm too weak, bro. Yo, I got it in my life, bro, because I can't do this shit. Yo, I swear to God, Taliba, I want you to look me in my eyes, yo. This is it. I'm never in my life, I will never cry over another female again, yo. Yo, you out there doing what you doing, bro. I never talk to no bitches, bro.
Okay, let me introduce myself. I'm Tonya Tko. I'm a self-love specialist and relationship expert from TonyaTko.com. I do want to start out saying please forgive me because I am detoxing at the moment, so you'll notice that my energy is a little different inside of my videos lately because I'm in the process of cleansing out toxins, etc. If you want to know more about it, I'll tell you below, but the keyword iodine. Nonetheless, this video, I found this video to be very touching. I'd seen this video before when she first sent it to me, but listening to it in the headphones and him crying and exuding this emotion outward really touched me because I can't imagine that there's a person out there who has not had thoughts about not wanting to deal with some of the pains that come along with life and being alive, etc. Especially when we start talking about emotional pain and the canals of navigating through a dysfunctional relationship, because there are obviously some things that are going on inside this relationship that are dysfunctional. Let me jump into my list. This video went viral on Instagram and Tariq Nasheed reposted this video saying that he needs to do some videos on some MAC lessons because some of these men have been drinking too much soy milk, etc. You know, you and I, we really need to be careful with who we exalt to fame because not everybody takes the responsibility of their public voice as seriously as other people. And we end up giving a lot of weight and credence to men who aren't really qualified to give their opinions on certain things. Now, whenever somebody says that they're going to commit suicide, it's something to be taken very, very seriously. And I'll say this to you all. And some of you have seen me on a live show when there was a woman who came on and said that she wanted to commit suicide. The first thing that you ask them is whether or not they've thought about how. Take all suicide threats seriously. When a person starts telling you that they have thought about how they're going to do it and they actually have a plan, take that even more seriously. That's when you have to get intervention involved. And so Tariq Nasheed said that men out here have been drinking too much soy milk, etc., and they need his quote-unquote MAC lessons. Oh God. As if it's soy milk, as if cow milk will stop men from feeling emotions. You know, there's so much going on inside of this video that I want to unpack. You know what? Let me just rewind. Let me rewind and just come from the very top. This video makes me emotional because I have a brother. I have a father. I have male friends. And I know from being a woman who was raised in the house with men that men do have feelings. Men have emotions. And I'm embarrassed for someone like Tariq Nasheed to come forward and mock this man as if there's something wrong with expressing your emotions, as if there's something wrong with feeling for a person very deeply, so much so that it hurts. I know. Listen, men feel emotions just as vividly as women do, just as deeply as women do. When we mock men for having human emotions, we create an environment in which we encourage for men to be unhuman. And this is how we end up in the situations that we're in right now, with a lot of toxic masculine qualities, like the toxic masculinity of Tariq Nasheed saying that he needs to do some Mac lessons. It's so frustrating. I don't personally see how anybody can watch that video and see another human being in pain and laugh. I don't see it. I don't see it. And I can assure you that there's no human adult who has ever loved, truly, truly loved and given their heart to another person who has not experienced heart pain. And if you haven't, then it's coming. Because there's a certain vulnerability that needs to be in place. And listen, as a self-love and relationship specialist, there's something that just supercharges exponentially the connection and the pain that you feel when you give yourself to another person, when you give your heart to another person, because you open yourself up for really truly attempting to connect with yourself. Because it's you attempting to get back in touch with the oneness that you know exists. So we enter into these relationships attempting to get back into the oneness. And it takes really letting down your guard to really truly love. And any person who has never let down their guard to really truly, truly love another human being, my heart breaks for you, because you're living in a prison of fear, a prison of constraints of other people's perceptions that's really stopping you from really being able to flourish fully in this lifetime. Because, you know, when you numb yourself to pain, you also numb yourself to pleasure. And there's no way for you to really feel the full bouquet of all of the feelings of love and emotion in this world without also being able to open yourself up to the bouquet of pain. And what we see right here is a man in the throes, in the depths of a bouquet, an array of pain. And it's painful to watch. It was painful for me to watch, because I personally know what it feels like to not want to live anymore. To feel like things are so difficult that you don't want to be here. I know what that feels like. And I'm sure many of you do too as well. The young man inside of this video, his issues started long before this young lady. I believe he said her name was Geneva. His issues started long before her, including the decision to choose a woman like her. He probably got himself caught up in a relationship with a woman who's emotionally abusive or is psychologically abusive. And he chose that woman for a particular reason, because there was a familiarity about her behavior. So his hurt and pain, listen, as a life coach and as a hypnotherapist and as a person who delves deep into the psychological mind and our psychological programming, I know that his issues started long before he met this woman, and that he was attracted and drawn to her because of the psychodrama of acting out these things from childhood in adulthood so that you could finally find healing. Remember, I said that we're attempting to go back into the oneness of ourselves when we love another human being. We're looking for that true agape love that exists within inside of us, that we attribute to another person, but we're really just diving back into ourselves, attempting to dive into ourselves through another person. This is why I always ask you to make sure of whether or not you're self-loving or self-abusing through a relationship. So I want us to look at one of the, it's not necessarily an arbitral. The arbitrals are reading between the lines, but he said something key there. He said that he promised that he will never cry over another girl again. So this is a promise that he's made. And this is one of the things that I talk about in my book of self-love. So if you haven't gotten the book yet, make sure that you pre-order yours on my website. I'll have all of the links below. He makes the promise to never cry over another girl again. And what does that mean? And you know, for so many of us, our programming starts in childhood, where we make these promises to never do X, Y, or Z. Maybe he saw his mother in a relationship with a man who cheated. So he met a girl who didn't seem like she had much fidelity, but he decided to enter into this relationship to heal that pain and that brokenness that existed with his father and his mother, so that he could then act out this psychodrama with this young lady, so that he could be the faithful man and heal this situation that existed between his mother and his father by being the opposite of his father, where he probably promised, listen, I will never be that type of man. I promise that I will be XYZ to a woman. I promise that I will be faithful. I promise that I will not mess around. He chose a girl who he probably saw indications of her not having fidelity long before he got to this state. The more that she pulled away was probably the more that he poured himself inside. Most likely he's with a young lady who pushed the boundaries of how far she can go, and who knows what her programming is. This is why when we get into these internet arguments and we see these posts and all this other stuff, most of us are commenting from our own brokenness inside, because we don't see the other person. We don't see the people inside of this situation. We see ourselves. Like, when that man was crying, I saw my brother. And depending on whatever type of relationship I have with my brother will determine whether or not I'd have sympathy or empathy for that young man. So we're acting out all of these different parallels and programmings in all of our relationships with other people. So when he met this young lady, he saw something inside of her that reflected something back to him, about him, through her. And her, who knows? Perhaps she was raised in a household where father also cheated. Unconsciously, she said, you know what? I'm going to act out these psychodramas to find healing, so that I will never be the faithful woman sitting at home. And so their energies vibrate at a like plane, and they attract one another into the relationship with each other, where they're both acting out these psychodramas with each other. Her looking for her own type of healing, and him looking for his own. So we have two people inside of this relationship who are acting out these psychodramas with one another, each having made promises from when they were young, who attracted the other, the like vibration into their lives at the exact right time for each other. And so he says that he promises that he will never cry over another girl again. What does this mean? What is it that he's going to do to stop himself from crying over another girl? Notice that he didn't say, I promise that I'm going to get in healthy, loving, functional relationships from now on. Instead, the issue now becomes her. What it is that you have done, quote unquote, to me is now having this effect on me, and the result is XYZ, that now I will never cry over another girl. And then this is the flip side of the psychodrama, acting out the other part. So that now we start to become like the parent that we said that we would never be like, because the world looks like the world through our filter, and different experiences keep coming up into our lives to bring this certain thing to pass. So he's probably attracted a lot of women who have cheated on him, or a lot of women who didn't have fidelity, who were not fidelis. I don't know if that's a real word, but so he attracted a lot of women into his life who were unfaithful, or leading up to this woman who would be unfaithful, so that he would see through his own eyes what it is that he's seeing. Instead of, how is it that I participated in getting into this relationship? What did I contribute to this turning out this way? How am I in charge of how this turned out? And how am I in charge of my response to it? Instead of him saying that. And if there's somebody who knows this young man and you see this video, I would love for you to forward this video on to him so that he could see it, so that he can dive into getting the mental health help that he needs. The word mental health is such an ominous word that many of us don't really fully understand what it means. And even I, in the fields that I am in, didn't really take into account what mental health truly means until I started working on getting into optimal health, period. And then I started thinking about, what is physical health? What does physical health mean? And then we have to think on the flip side, what does mental health mean? What does it mean when we're mentally fit? What does it mean when we're mentally healthy? What does it mean when there are things that we can do to make sure that we are healthier mentally? What are the things that detract or take away from our mental health? So yes, I'm very concerned about this young man talking about ending his life. And I'm also concerned about him talking about now never crying over another girl, because now we're heading off into the flip side of what got him here in the first place. So that now he's going to course correct by attempting to do the opposite of whatever it is that he felt got him into this situation, not really looking at himself and how he truly contributed to not only being in this situation, but his responses when boundaries were crossed in the first place, and as well as his response to the pressure and the stimuli of having something come up in the relationship that he does not want, like cheating, for example. I don't have much more to say. I really just wanted to get those points out because I don't think that this video is funny. And I feel like in the Black community, we have some very unproductive views about staying mentally healthy, staying mentally sound, and what it looks like when we're not mentally healthy, and how we respond to people who are giving out cries for help. I'm stunned and I'm embarrassed by the way far too many people responded to this. We really have got to tap into our empathy for other people, and especially sympathy, because there's so many of us who have gone through, who have been in those low states. How many of us have not had a heartbreak? How many, and listen, heartache is something serious. My heart was broken so badly one time I felt physical pain in my being. They say that there's some people who can even die from a broken heart. You know, we talk about the mind-body connection. There's so many things about our human existence that we are not fully conscious of. There's a part of me that applauds that young man for having the feelings and the emotions and the ability to emote and express himself. There is life after heartache if you allow yourself to live through it and feel through it. And just like in the same way that we can run to the gym to push up some weights, let's go to therapists and seek the ability to be able to open up and really unpack. Let's become healthy for future relationships. Let's become healthy for the relationship that we have with ourselves. Get my book on self-love. Get the self-love affirmations book. And for women who are watching this, I'm doing a women's retreat in April. Be a part of healing the programming that's going on inside of us. And somebody said that I should do a co-ed retreat. And I'm like, okay. So that we can get some little TKO babies out there, huh? Okay, maybe we can behave ourselves on a retreat. I don't know, but people were telling me that there's definitely a need for a safe space for men to do the work on themselves, to also do that internal healing. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm definitely going to be doing a lot more workshops and speaking engagements and seminars throughout the course of this upcoming year. So on that note, listen, I love you all very, very much. Go out there and love one another, but most importantly, what? That's right. Love yourself. Love yourself. And love yourself enough to forgive yourself for whatever it is that you did to end up in a situation which may not be as healthy or as loving as it could be. Forgive yourself. You're human. You came into this life for human experience. And that right there, the pain, the emotion, that's part of the human experience. And love yourself enough to be able to go back into the past and remember the promises that you made as a child and undo those promises. Many of us are still living out promises that we made when we were 8 years old. 8 years old, we're still living out these promises, our lives running on this unconscious script. Love yourself enough to invest, if not my books, if not my workshops or seminars, find something to do the inner child work. Do that. Love yourself enough to invest in doing this very, very difficult work on this very, very, very arduous journey. All right, so give me a hug and then we'll get out of here. I love you all very, very much. Oh, okay. Love, 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 love. Okay. And a big hug to that young man, brother. Keep on pushing on. There is nothing, listen, there's nothing wrong with feeling. when you feel, you open yourself up to really, 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 truly, truly feel the full bouquet and the bounty of beautiful blessings that are out there. Feel those blessings and blessings, brother. Don't let these bullies detract you from feeling and connecting with your human self, with your inner self, with your higher self. Connect with that. You came here on this earth for a human experience, and heartache is one of the human experiences. Outside of these human bodies, we can't feel pain, but we also can't feel lust, and we can't feel fear, and we can't feel anger, and we can't feel envy. There's a lot of things. We can't even feel the wind on our face or the sun in our hair. Speaking of sunny hair, how do you guys like the golden hair? And I'm gonna get out of here. I will see you all in the next video. Tonya TKO, and I am out. Peace.